Hey modders, welcome back to ModifedRoll. We're sponsored by DM Dice. Use the code ModifedRoll or follow the link in the description to get 10% off all your adventuring needs. We're also sponsored by Arcanist Rum. Check them out and use code ModifedRoll to get 15% off all purchases and free shipping. So you might notice that some of Pete's audio sounds a little bit different in this episode. That's because he's had a few issues with a mic that's been clicking a lot that we've been struggling to fix, so we had to retake a couple of bits after the fact. But we made sure to keep everything that he said the same, it just was recorded later, so it sounds a bit out of place, that's all. With that said, our party have just arrived in the human capital of Verlaine, Belgravia, a city of many sights and splendours, and of course, the first thing our party decided to do was hit up a tavern that Ghillianna knew. And we rejoin them now as they get comfortable in the inner demon in this ModifedRoll Season 2, Episode 36. Unapologetically yourself. But yeah, Demi sort of strides out from behind the bar, so the rest of you see this red-skinned tiefling, almost like the skin tone almost so dark as to be like pitch black, but as the light hits it with the torchlight inside, you see it is in fact a very deep red, with these large black horns that curl and sweep back from her head, wearing a lot of leather, which in any like one segment would be exceptionally revealing, but there's just so many different bits that it sort of covers almost everything, but in a way that is still very sensual and revealing. And she strides out, tail lashing behind her, and she comes up to give Ghillianna a massive hug. It has been weeks since we've seen you last, and pulls you into a big hug.
Demi, darling, have you missed me?
Of course, my favourite customer.
I knew I was your favourite. See, did everyone hear that? I'm her favourite.
Come and see.
My friend Kazisel.
I just nod and say hello, just for the light to shine on my ruby. Just a slight shine.
Whenever you do that, she sort of leans forward and is like, "Oh, my darling, you are exquisite. If I could wear you around my finger, I would." I meant that in exactly the way you think.
Well, they don't call him the ass man for nothing.
It was never about other people's.
Wow.
Well, this is what our podcast is now, I guess.
I just imagine the amethyst just kind of quiver just a little bit with a little bit of a chill to them.
Oh my god.
But of course, a pleasure to meet you all. She sets these 4 glasses up in front of you, and
Is it getting hot in here?
Darling, when I'm around, it's always hot in here. And she holds the bottle up to like salute you all.
The Riz.
Do you guys take the drink?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do indeed.
Yep. She knocks back a shot straight from the bottle, and if the rest of you do, she will immediately, from the bottle she just drank from, just re-pour 4 shots for you. Can everyone immediately give me a Constitution check, please?
Yay.
Just a straight Constitution check, yeah?
Yep, just go a Constitution saving throw.
Unnatural 20.
Oh, excellent.
It's been a long journey.
Oh no.
5.
Natural 1.
Ooh.
8.
An 8 for Twilight.
Yeah.
Because you knock yours back and it burns. You actually taste like brimstone, but you take it and while it's very, it's like burning on the way down. It's quite nice in a way. The other 3 of you down it, but you immediately, actually to be fair, natural 1. I think you like get it half down, the burn hits your throat, and you immediately start coughing, like spluttering it up. The other 2 of you get it down, but you just start like coughing, like it is burning your throat. Like you feel like somebody has taken a poker and like a red hot poker and shoved it into your throat.
Would I not...
I imagine Sinclair's also like, it's very smooth.
Does she do this a lot? Would I not know that this was coming?
Oh yeah, she would have. Yeah, this would have happened before. Every time it's a different liquor though, so it's not like it's the same drink every time. She just picks whatever she wants. Like this is what she wants to drink, so you're also drinking it.
It seems you found their weakness over here.
Hilarious.
Oh, darling, I'm well aware of Ghillianna's weaknesses, and she sort of leans in on the bar.
Who is that? Twilight.
I see you really have been here a lot then, hey?
Would Twilight have had a vocal reaction to that, or was that for you, Maddie?
Yeah, no, that was Twilight, not me.
Oh,
Well, that was partly me.
in which case she will conspiratorially lean into you, Twilight, as if she's whispering, I'll tell you all about them later.
Jesus. Oh my god, no. Twilight's gonna, combust. Just, you know that Mrs. Puff, where she's like, oh, Neptune, and she's sweating?
Yeah. Just sweat. Just 100-yard stare to sweat, or 1,000-yard stare to sweat.
Yeah.
There's going to be an accidental hellish rebuke at some point.
But come, you've told me, well, maybe later, but you've told me you were saving the world, dear. What's all that about?
Oh, strictly confidential, I'm afraid.
Oh, dear, you know I can keep a secret.
Demi, I'm not sure you can, but don't change. Never change, please.
She winks and takes another swig from the bottle. Well, it has been some time, and you're once again back in our fair city and in our lovely establishment. Relius and Resmus will, of course, take good care of you tonight, and of course, if you need any of my services, do not hesitate to ask.
Of course, thank you so much.
Is anyone going to ask about a room?
Oh shit!
Now down to brass
Demi,
tacks.
sorry.
Could we'd like a room, please. It's been a long journey.
Of course, dear. I'm never one to shy away from getting down to serious business. Just the one room for the four of you, is it?
Ooh, do you have two?
You can see as she says that, there's a massive grin on her face. You know she's just taking the piss and seeing how much she can embarrass you all. This is this is what she does for fun.
Demi, you know that I like my space. I can't share with three people.
We spent enough time together on the road. You're separate. We need separating at some point.
Yes, and I think we're all aware at this point, Ghillianna's sharing with one is a struggle enough sometimes. But of course, 2 rooms it is. Anna, dear, you know you've stayed here before. All rooms are normally 2 gold a night, but for yourselves and for those who are saving the world, let's call it 3 gold for both rooms.
Music to my ears. Thank you so much, and I'll slap down the gold.
Of course. She takes it away, puts it behind the bar, takes another swig from the bottle, and of course, I'll be adding the bottle to your tab, and just sets the bottle down in front of you, and then, oh dear, a moment, and she heads off into the bar to talk to somebody else that she's sort of flagged down, and you see her sort of spend, unless any of you go to get her at any point, she spends most of the evening moving from table to table, talking to people, and just being, a very good hostess, I would say. So, you have your room. Are you going to head up there now, or is your plan to spend a bit of time in the bar?
Let's go and shove our shit in the room. Because we're carrying all our crates.
Yeah, we're just trying to have a drink with a backpack on, oof.
Yeah, by all means. I would say, Ghillianna, you can decide whether or not you've stayed in one of these rooms before, but they are not lavishly sort of appointed, but they are very, very comfortable, lovely, feather down beds and thick comforters to keep the chill away now that the autumn cold is closing in. And you know that each of the rooms are equipped with a very simple wooden bathtub, the sort that you could sit cross-legged in. You're not going to be lounging in these things, but enough to be cleaned. You would know that if you wanted to use them, though, you would have to request water to be brought up, which would be an extra charge.
Honestly, we could probably... Wait, we've been staying in, hotels, taverns, haven't we?
Yeah, you've been staying in taverns all the way here, and obviously because these were paid for, you would have been bathing and stuff without any additional charge, so...
We're, clean as whistles then, really, aren't we?
Yeah.
I mean, relatively.
I was being sarcastic.
I like the image of then in the next room, Sinclair's taking off his sweaty armour, because he's been driving the car all day.
Well, to be fair, I imagine from the conversation down below, you're all just in cold sweat.
Ghillianna's gonna have a bath, I'm not gonna lie. Princess.
You would know it would just be an additional 2 silver to cover the cost of the water to heat up, and it'd probably take them a bit of time, so you could go down, have a drink, and then come back and have your wash up later.
Mm-hmm.
You would know that some of the very, very expensive taverns, maybe not this one, but some of the very expensive ones would use magic to heat the water. This one is very much just heated over a big fire, and they have to like bring it up in buckets.
Fun. That sounds really fun for the staff.
The other one wants a bath. So you have dropped off all your kit. What's your plan here? Are you guys staying in the rooms for a bit, heading back down? I'm just asking because I need to know what I'm describing.
What are we doing, guys?
Sinclair is going to get the hell out of that armour because he is sick of wearing it for the past few days.
Aha, now the assassin stabs you. No, you're fine.
And he's going to get comfortably into his twerking trousers.
Of course. That was going to be my next question. Are you wearing the twerking trousers?
Armour off, twerking trousers
you know the
on.
rules.
That's how you know it's time to party.
And then Sinclair will sort of, when Caziezel's ready, he'll head downstairs with Caziezel.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll probably just be a case of dropping my shit off and being ready.
So you just watch him take his armour off.
Just sits in a chair in the corner of the room.
Yeah, take it off, you sweaty boy.
Take it off for Daddy. Christ.
I'll be meditating.
Meditating. Cecil, have you always meditated with your eyes open? Keep taking it off.
You also always meditated with a blanket on your lap.
I'm so glad Sardi was asleep right now.
Oh my god.
Oh, good God.
I'd be having to beg for forgiveness.
Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned.
This is how we're starting the next arc, I guess. I don't know why I thought this would go any differently.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. You were like, oh, here's this really kinky bar that everyone can
think
be.
you were going to find this tavern for at least another session. I thought...
We need to talk about that chapter of the latest book we bought.
Yes, I'm sure that'll be the choice of topic over drinks.
I generally thought you guys would go to the Pleasant Duck, you would have a couple of drinks, and then we would get on to the courts the next morning. But no, I had to ask you to decide if you'd been here before and give you the really cool demon sex bar, and of course everyone wants to be there.
And then if you ever think we're going to ever choose anything other than that, then...
I mean...
You know us by now.
Heard
John.
us.
Come on now, sunshine.
Again, I didn't think I'd be telling you about this until the next session, but here we are, and I have to sleep in the bed that I've made. So, unlike the rest of you, it doesn't sound like we'll be sleeping at all. So, Ghillianna and Twilight, you drop your shit off. Are you heading straight back downstairs?
Well, Ghillianna's having a bath.
Well, I'm having a
she?
bath, yeah.
Well, I mean, you have to go down and tell them to...
well, yeah, I'll go down then. Go down to the bar.
Yeah, I'll take off my heavier cloaks and stuff. So I'm in just underdress. No, so not naked, but not overly dressed.
Yeah,
My
just
version
a
of
dress.
Yeah, and I'll go down and hang out with Sinclair and Cecil whilst Ghillianna has a bath.
Cool, you head back down. You guys you can pick up a table easily enough. While it is busy, it's not packed. Ghillianna, you're able to flag down one of the staff, not one of the bar staff, just one of the serving people who are bringing food and drinks and stuff out. And you indicate you want the bath drawn. They paid a couple of silver, and they tell you that they'll come and let you know once the bath has been fully drawn for you. And you all sort of relax in the bar. As you sort of make your way down, you do hear, as you're stepping down the stairs, you haven't set up previously, but as you're coming down now, you hear a few fiddle notes sort of drifting over the air, and you step into the tavern to see in the corner there's now a fiddle player sort of set up on the stage.
So Sinclair is going to take his pint of whatever the hell he's drinking, and he's going to go and
Absinthe.
yeah, something stupidly strong after this 3 weeks of travelling with the kids.
Just a pint of absinthe, just don't hold it too close to the candles.
Yeah, so he's going to take his pint of absinthe over, and he's going to lean up against a wall nearby, and he's going to listen to the relaxing tones of the fiddle. Revel. Yeah.
Well, they start off sort of slow as they're sort of rosining up the bow, and as you sort of look over, you see this red-skinned tiefling in these deep purples and sort of frilled jacket with long sort of curled horns, playing a pure black fiddle. And Sinclair looks like he's about to... Pete looks like he's about to tear up, because he knows full well this is me self-inserting Alreus from Season 1.
Oh, it's my boy.
He starts off low and slow, sort of rousing up the boat, getting everyone sort of in the mood, and then immediately starts picking up into much rowdier, sort of like, foot tapping, what we would consider like, Celtic Irish sort of like foot tapping folk music. And he performs a lot of that for the night. People, at one point, a few of the tables are pulled away, and people do get up and start dancing. Sinclair, are you just going over and watching him for a bit?
Yeah, and if people are dancing, he'll join in having a dance.
Oh, I want to dance. Ghillianna's going to dance.
After your bath.
Too. Oh yeah, have I been for my bath?
I would say
yet?
about now, when just as the dancing's starting, because like I said, it takes a while to heat the water up. It's about now when he comes and says that the bath is ready. But like you've been here before, this isn't going to be like a quick 5-minute thing. This is now going to be the evening. Is going to be like this for the most of the night.
Okay, I'll run upstairs quick and have like a bath.
Go have your bath. We'll save you a dance.
Thanks, Dad.
Every so often, Demi, of course, as she's like moving around the room, she will sort of join on the floor and pick up with different people throughout the night. At one point, I imagine Sinclair, she shares quite pulling you in close, hands sort of wandering as a little dance and a jig with you.
He enjoys it, but he's bright red.
Physical words.
Could be mistaken for a tiefling yourself.
What about Cazisel and Twilight? Would you guys be up dancing, or would you guys just be taking over the room?
Yeah, definitely. Twilight's dancing.
Cecil will probably knock back a few drinks before joining on the dance floor.
Well, as you guys move up, and I imagine after Ghillianna having a wash down and because you're the only one who's properly describing having a clean and changing, are you just wearing like your normal travelling attire, or is Ghillianna making an effort now that you're in the capital?
Oh, she's making an effort.
Ghillianna walks back down
For
the stairs, and
sure.
you guys are blinded by the jewellery she's wearing, catching the light of the tavern. But yeah, as you come back down, I imagine you join in the dance as well, and you all have, you've had some time to relax, but now you're sort of like really letting loose. You're in a big city, you're in a room full of other fucking weirdos and freaks, and you're just having a good time. And Demi will like take turns with each of you dancing. I imagine Twilight, because I didn't describe how tall she was, but she is like properly like 6'2", just proper tall, slender, legs from here to fucking tomorrow. So I imagine, because I think you have described Twilight as being like relatively short before.
Yes, I can double check her height. 1 second. Yeah, 5'10", which actually that's not.
No, that's taller than I am. Is that including your horns?
Yeah,
I'm 5'9", so
yeah, I don't think that's right. I imagined her like, I don't know, 5'2".
Yeah, in my head, that's how I picture her, like relatively like short, but then
Yeah, so I'm going to change my character sheet. She's 5'2".
it's not really been relevant before now, but I was only going to say, because there's like such a disparity in height difference, if you would let her, she would literally like, put an arm around your waist and like lift you up and like spin you around the dance floor.
Oh my god. Yes. No, I don't.
Dummy mommy.
I don't think I would like. I wouldn't stop her, but I would also probably just be there like.
Mommy? Sorry. Mommy? Sorry. Mommy?
Eventually.
Getting those uppies.
Hold on. I missed that. What was that last bit?
Uppies.
Getting those uppies.
Mommy? Uppies?
No. Delete this. Delete your account.
Well, this is being clipped up and used elsewhere. Yeah, so she like picks you up, like spins you round, and just like dancing with you. And the music at this point is like full, like frantic sort of. It's the sort of music that you have to move when you hear it. It hits you in your chest, and it is just you spin and you move and you turn, and it's like everything else melts away for a time. And all that's in front of you is the music and the people you're dancing with. And Demi, after a time, sort of puts Twilight back down, moves on to Cazisel and pulls you in close, and you can feel, again, so your skin is, you don't have skin, you have these hard crystals, but she still traces her fingers over the sort of facets of your gemstone skin. And there's just, she has this way of making all of you feel this, and it's not overbearing, it's not this like, harsh, it's just this intimacy that has no other attachment to it. But you all feel that it brings this to each and every one of you individually, and then finally, as Ghillianna comes down, she moves away from Cecil, having danced with you for a few songs, and sees you coming down, arms spread, steps towards you. Ghillianna, you are resplendent as always.
Thank you. And she flicks her hair over her shoulder.
She puts a hand out towards you, asking for a dance.
She'll take her hand.
And she immediately,
it.
it was very gentle, hand out, but as soon as you put your hand in her, she pulls you in close, body to body, and then pulls you onto the dance floor, and then dances with you for a few songs. And again, it's just that intimacy, that feeling of connection you get just from that moment, those several beats dancing across the floor, for that everything else melts away, but the people immediately around you. And this goes on for a while. And would any of you guys dance with each other, or is it just you're all sort of dancing together?
I imagine, because realising that Twilight is 5'2", and Sinclair being 9 foot tall, it's that kind of like daddy-daughter dance, where the child's feet are on the father's feet. It's that sort of thing,
I am nearly 100% sure we described that in one of the Cairn bars, but if we didn't, I need somebody to make art of that. Just
that'll be so cute.
Just Sinclair holding Twilight's hands with her standing on his feet.
God, he's going full dad. And his dad dancing as well, trying to embarrass them, and twerking.
Incredible. We're in full Daddy Sinclair era.
So, why, unless any of you guys have something that you want to say or do in this moment, in this scene, as you all sort of let loose and feel free from all responsibilities and from everything else, there, you have things you must do tomorrow, but for now, all that matters is this song, this dance, this moment, and the people next to you. Is there anything you guys want to do in this moment, or would you just revel?
Revel, yeah.
I think just revel, probably from Ghillianna, yeah.
Just dancing in the crowd, just being part of a crowd that, no one takes much notice, just being one of the people.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, as you say, that's exactly what this is. You are there. You're part of this. You aren't something separate that is looked at and watched. You are part of what's happening here, this moment. But eventually, the music winds down. Demi pulls herself away from you, Ghillianna, a brilliant and bright smile across her face, as she whispers in your ear, "Welcome back, my love." As she steps away, holding your hand, doing that thing as she steps away, sort of your fingers sort of pull apart. She steps away into the crowd of people, and you all look up and see sort of one another in this moment, whether you were feeling contentedness or ecstasy or some other emotion. In the minute that the music stops, it's just you. The tiefling with the fiddle bows from the stage, turns and begins to pack away his fiddle, and you realise that it is, at this point, the wee hours of the morning. While it feels like no time at all has passed, you've been here for hours, and it is probably the freest you have felt in a very long time.
Sinclair is going to approach the fiddle player while he's packing away.
Yeah, he stops as he sees you, and he turns and does a very sort of over-dramatised bow down to you.
And Sinclair rummages in his pouch and hands him 6 gold.
He takes it, sort of pulls it close and says, "Thank you. Tips are always appreciated. Your name, sir?"
Sinclair.
Sinclair. Alreus Iaris, at your service. You'll find me here most nights for the minutes. I've set up shop here, as it were. It's a comforting place.
Your music has made me feel the freest I felt in a long time, and that's why you take this tip. You deserve it.
He smiles, nods, and says, "Yes, music has that effect sometimes, and sometimes that's all people need. A moment to be themselves, to be, as you say, free from judgment, from responsibility, just free. Please, come back, enjoy my music anytime."
I will. And I just wanted to say, your parents must be incredibly proud of you. You're very talented.
You're a dickhead. You see, he jolts when you say that, and his eyes go wide, and he smiles softly and looks down at the fiddle and says, "Thank you. I I hope they are.
Sinclair he'll put his hand out to shake.
Abe, shake your hand.
I'll come back and listen again.
Please, do.
I
I'll keep an
promise.
eye out for you. I'll dedicate the next one to you when you're in.
Very well. Have a good evening. Well, night. In fact, it's morning now.
Yes, good morning, as it were. And he does another flourished bow and heads back to packing up his fiddle.
Well, good evening, Alreus. Morning, even. I've had too much to drink.
Good morning, Sinclair.
And Sinclair's going to drunkenly wander to bed.
For those who haven't listened to Season 1 of Modified Roll, Alres Aris, my character's mother died early in his backstory, and his father's death was what drove him to become an adventurer. Black fiddle he carries was his father's. That's why I called Sinclair a dick.
Jeez.
Yeah, what about the rest of you? As the bar begins to empty, people heading to their beds or to their homes.
Ghillianna will go, time for bed, Twilight, and she'll grab her hand and she'll hook her arm through her arm and take her upstairs.
Yeah. Twilight will just she's drunk and tired, so she's just gonna go.
Yeah, you pull. I imagine at one point having to help one another up the stairs. You make it up eventually.
Casizel would finish the last of his drink and then go up with him as well, and just knock down that last sip and then go up, ready for bed.
Yep, you all make your way upstairs. Possibly some of you a little bit more drunk than others, but thoroughly exhausted from the dancing. You settle in to the fine down feather mattresses, and all of you fall into a peaceful sleep. So I also just want to quickly jump in here and tell you guys about a product I've tried recently, and they're also sponsoring this episode. For those who've been listening to Modified Roll for a while, you might be aware that I am not a full-time podcast producer, editor, or DM, as I may come across. I am in fact a design engineer in my full-time life, so I spend most of my day sat in front of a computer working on 3D models. That said, quite a lot of the time I find myself thinking about how I'd rather be playing D&D, and I sometimes struggle to concentrate on what I'm doing. I'm sure everyone's the same. You get tired, you have a lot of things in your mind, and you just struggle to concentrate sometimes. So to try and combat this, I turned to caffeine. Unfortunately, I'm not a massive fan of the flavour of coffee, and tea doesn't tend to have a lot of caffeine in it, so I turned to energy drink. I was drinking a large can of energy drink every morning to try and just get through the day. While tea doesn't have a ton of caffeine, energy drinks have far too much, and I'd go from dying on my feet to literally shaking with the amount of caffeine running through my body. To that end, I decided to give Magic Mind a try. So Magic Mind, for those who haven't heard of it, it is styled as a productivity shot. Now, I'm not going to sit here and recommend something to you that I've not tried, so I actually gave Magic Mind a go. I used it for 2 weeks. I stopped having my energy drinks in the morning and relied entirely on this little shot. And that's the thing, it is just a little shot that you can just take straight in the first thing in the morning, or like I did when I got to work, settled in at my desk, I would have the drink and get ready to start the day. And I'm going to be honest with you, I do feel like I noticed a difference. I feel like I had that little kick of energy from the small amount of caffeine, being able to concentrate a little bit better during the day. The effects were immediately noticeable, especially after I'd stopped using it. And like I said, I tried it for 2 weeks. And the week after, I started going back into that sort of same rut, finding it difficult to concentrate, sort of finding mind wandering during the day. So I can say with all honesty, I did notice a benefit from it. Being completely open and honest though, there was one downside I had with the Magic Mind shot, which was the taste. Not my sort of flavour. I did struggle to sort of get used to it. That is because it is a strong matcha flavour. It's one of the sort of base ingredients, and unfortunately not a big matcha fan. But for those of you out there who do enjoy that taste, perfect. But touching on that, matcha, like I say, is one of the main ingredients, way less caffeine than coffee, and also contains additional compounds called catechins that extend the benefit of caffeine by slowing your body's ability to absorb it. But on top of that, they also have a bunch of other I want to say natural ingredients, but that is a very much a thrown around term these days that doesn't really mean a lot. But they have included a bunch of stuff like lion's mane mushrooms, ashwagandha, Rhodolia rosea, Bacopa monnieri, So there are a bunch of very natural, wholesome ingredients in here to sort of give you that attention span benefit and reduce the caffeine intake during the day. So to that end, we just wanted to recommend it to our listeners, and Magic Mind were kind enough to offer us a discount code. But if you check out the description for this episode, you'll find that not only have we got the discount code ModifedRoll20, they've also supplied us with a special link just for this month. As just for the month of January, they are running a New Year's resolution fully focused promotion. So if you use this link, you will get 1 month for free when you're subscribing for 3 months. And if you then use the code ModifedRoll20, you get an additional 20% off. That's 75% off total. This link will only work throughout the month of January, but fear not, even if you miss that, the code ModifedRoll20 will still continue to work after this for 20% off one-time purchases. So make sure to check out that link to get your January and your new year off to a good start. But I am only a case study of one. So check out their website. They do have a bunch of other testimonials and feedback. So I definitely think it's worth a try if you have the same struggles I did. But all that's left to say is thank you, Magic Mind, for sponsoring this episode, and we'll let you get back to the action. I wasn't sure if I was going to do this tonight, but after that scene, I think I kind of have to. Sinclair, what are you thinking about as you fall asleep?
Interesting. He's thinking back to happy days in the past, thinking back to Horwick, his good friend, and then he thinks to his new friends and how much they mean to him. And I think while he's thinking all of this, one of the Bard's songs is going around in his head, sort of like a music video in his head,
Yeah.
Just reminding him of good events. There's no bad memories. It's all peaceful and good.
You drift off to sleep. First, it is that pleasant darkness of a dreamless sleep, one of recovery. Then in that darkness you hear, just on the edge of hearing to begin with, a few refrains from that fiddle. And then the song becomes louder and fills your ears, and as you open your eyes, you find yourself sat at the table in the tavern. But this time, completely alone. The tavern is empty, except for Alreus, stood on the stage playing the fiddle. And as you open your eyes and look at him, he smiles, nods, and continues to play. And then you feel a strong but gentle hand on your shoulder, and you look up to see your mum. And she holds out a hand to pull you up to dance. And she pulls you onto the dance floor. And you begin to dance, slow to begin with, to match the pace of the song. And then the fiddle picks up, and it becomes another jaunty, raucous dancing tune, and you spin and twirl and dance around the floor with your mum. No words are exchanged, but you both begin to laugh, a laugh of just pure joy, straight from the heart. And she stops and smiles and nods to the side, and you turn and look, and you see all of the fathers from the church. You see Horwick stood with them, waving from one of the booths. The fathers, of course, just drinking glasses of water, Horwick with a pint of ale. And you turn again and you see all the members of the party, Twilights, Ghillianna, Kazisel, all sat in a booth raising a drink to you. You see beyond them the nobles of Cairn, nodding and smiling. You see all these people who have been so kind to you, and you think of all of the amazing times, all the fun and laughter you've shared with them. Some obviously more than others, some only had a brief moment with, it seems. But you look back at the face of your mother as the music sort of fades away around you, and she just smiles gently and warmly. You see tears welling up in her eyes. She pulls your head down and kisses you in the forehead. And as you stand back up, the music plays again, and you dance. Ghillianna, what are you thinking about as you go to sleep?
Ghillianna is thinking about, like, what a wonderful night that she had. She's thinking about seeing her old friends again and how happy it makes her that her old friends have met her new friends, and just reminiscing on how far she's come since she left home and how much remarks she's made, and feels very happy and lethargic.
I don't think I can make this any different to Sinclair's dream.
How do I make her miserable?
No, I'm just joking. I'm trying to think of something happy, but I don't want it to be the exact same dream Sinclair had. You drift off for the night, these thoughts, the music still playing in your head, the room perhaps spinning just a little. Don't know how much you drank, but you drift into sleep, and you sort of immediately blink your eyes open in your dream, and you find yourself sat at the table in the tavern, the rest of the party sort of surrounding you. Demi comes over and slides a drink on the table in front of you, her hand sort of placed on your shoulder. She walks past as she trails a finger along the top of your shoulders. You look over and you see Relius and Resmus sort of talking to that fire genasi from earlier. And then when you look back, everyone is up from the table and dancing. You flick your eyes back over to the bar, and all of a sudden that genasi from earlier is linked back on the bar as Relius and Resmus are pouring drinks into their mouth straight from the bottles. Demi comes and pulls you up onto your feet onto the dance floor, and you sort of almost relive a few of the moments from that night, dancing with Demi and the other members of the party, and maybe even some of the tavern goers. And for a moment, everything, it's not jarring, but there is a shift, and Demi is ever so slightly different now. And as you look around, the party aren't there with you anymore, and you realise this looks like when you were last here, however many weeks or months ago that was. You're sort of reliving a bit of a memory from that, the last time you were here dancing with Demi, and see Relius and Resmus wearing slightly different but very similar clothing in different colours, but obviously following the same sort of dress code, which is showing off as much of their chest as possible while still technically being clothed. And as you spin, twirl, everything again, there's no jarring sensation, but there is another shift, and you find yourself in one of your favourite taverns from back in Theraseed. You look around at familiar faces of people you would have drank with then, and you see one familiar face walk out of the crowd as you're dancing to a very similar but nonetheless different frame of music, and this face that you recognise so well. And I'll let you decide whether it's some if you're happy or not to see them, but they smile gently, and as they reach out to take your hand, would you take theirs?
Yeah.
The second your hand touches theirs is when the dream fades and you relax into blissful slumber. But there is a moment when the hands touch, that smile on their face deepens, and you feel just that moment, you feel that happiness sort of spread through you from them, and that's the feeling that's left with you through the rest of your slumber. Cecil, what are you thinking about?
I feel like for this night, this would be the first night that since leaving the island that he would truly feel like he is the most normal that he's ever felt. Like, back on the island, no one would have given him that much of a second glance. He's a dragonborn among dragonborns, and since he would have left, he would have had glances the entire time, and this would probably be the first night since leaving that he's felt part of the crowd. You know, no one's taken any kind of special kind of looks towards him, especially nowhere near as much as he would have had during this time. But at the same time, it's still new because on the island, in the monastery, it would have been a bit more of a formal setting, you know, just that kind of structured life, you know, not as much of being as free as he's feeling now. This is all still so new to him. Everything that he's done on this journey is new. There is no structure. It's living how he deems it to be, kind of how he feels it is right to live. And, you know, this is the first night where he's had, you know, a feeling of just being able to party, be a part of a crowd, and not feel like he's standing out. He's part of it, and he's, this is the first time he's able to actually discover what being Cecil is without any other structure in his life. It's just the first time he is free and a night he can truly enjoy for himself.
You drift off into sleep, much like the others. When you begin to dream, you find yourself standing, first of all, alone, in the middle of one of the training grounds at the temple. As you look around, thinking of the exercises you would have done here, you think of the cries and the calls from the sensei who would have been leading the lessons, and then those memories become real. You hear that voice, and as you spin, you realise that you're now stood in the courtyard full of other students, all moving in unison to the cries: punch, punch, kick, punch, punch, kick. And this goes on, and you find yourself, like, automatically, without even thinking about it, moving into the motions as well, sort of repeating and following along. The shouts echo off the walls, and then all of a sudden, cutting through all of this, you hear the sound of a bow being pulled across the strings of a fiddle, and the shouts stop and are replaced by the music that you heard that night as the fiddle rings out across the courtyard. And you look around, you realise that these students that you've been following these motions through with are all now twirling and dancing and spinning with one another, and one of them grabs you by the arm and spins you, and you find yourself dancing with your training partner that you spent all those years practicing with. But as they grab you at one point and spin you in place, they grab you and stop you, and you realise that instead of your training partner, you're now face to face with Sinclair, who spins you again and twirls you around the courtyard. And as you look up, all of those students that you were standing next to have been replaced by your party members and all those other people from the bar, spinning and twirling about this courtyard on this monastery on the side of a mountain. And you dance and you realise that, yes, you did feel free, but that doesn't mean that you aren't still Cecil. You still have that life from before, you still have that training, that knowledge. And while it was restrictive in a certain way, it has led you here, at least. And you have found a balance. You have found a way of using what you've been taught, but also enjoying the time you have with your comrades, with your new party members and friends. It doesn't have to be one or the other. You realise it can be both. And you spin and dance away until the dream fades to blackness. Twilight, what are you thinking about as you fall asleep?
So, kind of similar to Cecil, but different in that Twilight is kind of reveling in the fact that when they came into this place, people looked up but didn't really bat an eye. And as she grew up in a place that didn't really have tieflings or anything really out of the ordinary, and then even on their adventures haven't really experienced that much of her kind or of difference in general. I think she's kind of reveling in the fact that there are places like this in the world where kind of people like her or Cecil or Sinclair kind of don't have to stand out. And just thinking about that and kind of realizing that the world is a really big place and that she's got a lot of exploring to do. And also understanding that she kind of, while she is special and all her friends are special, there's this element of like community now, understanding that she's not the only one. And I think that's comforting to her.
You lie there in the bed in the same room as Ghillianna and you drift off to sleep. And I think your dream starts in the observatory. You start sat across from Cadence, and you realise that feeling of somebody looking at you and seeing you, not a tiefling, but you, that isn't a new sensation. That's the way Cadence has always looked at you, and you see that now as she looks up from the book she's reading, takes you in, and smiles. It may not have been something common, it may not have been something that everyone gave you, but it was something that Cadence gave you. And as she looks down, you sit in silence, perhaps with a book from one of the Gentleman Thief series in your lap. But of course, this being a dream, you can't actually read any of the words because that's how dreams work. But you sit in silence, just contemplating that moment. And then, just like the others, you hear the refrains of a fiddle float through the air. In the dream, you stand up and walk from the study into the main hall of the observatory. As you step through that threshold, you find yourself back in the Inner Demon Tavern. You see your party members all dancing, twirling and spinning about the dance floor with all of these other people who are just them. They're not pretending, they're not projecting an air of apology for being who they are just them. And you feel a presence at your side and a hand on your shoulder, and you see Cadence has stepped through the doorway as well and placed a hand on your shoulder, and as you look at her, she smiles warmly, takes your hand and pulls you onto the dance floor, and you dance with Cadence in a place where she can see you being you, unapologetically, without any pretense, just you. And you dance with her and your party members and Demi and whoever else you felt confident enough to dance with that night, because every single person there, that's all this was. Chance to dance and be themselves. The music fades, the vision dissipates, and you drift into slumber. And that's where we're going to end the first session of the second arc of Season 2 of Modified Roll.
Hooray!
Wow.
Well, that's it for this episode. Thanks very much for sticking with us. As usual, I would just like to thank Lixie B for our wonderful logo, and Jeff for all of the fantastic art for our characters in Season 2. Don't forget, you can check out more of Jeff's work on our online store, where you can find his artwork used on our stickers and t-shirts. Also, a massive shout out to the Stormweather Shanty Choir for allowing us to use their song Drunken Sailor as our intro and outro music. Also, a massive thank you to our wonderful sponsors DM Dice and Arcanist Rum. Find links to both of their websites in our description. And finally, a massive shout out and thank you to all of our Patreon supporters who continue to support us in everything we do. Your support means the world to us, and we hope that we can go on making fantastic content thanks to you. So as I'm actually getting a bit of time to listen to some podcasts again, I do have a recommended podcast for you guys today. That is the Dire Cast. For those of you who have had a look at our Patreon, you would know that we have a lot of amazing content we've been putting out recently. We are a little bit biased, I think it's amazing, but one of the things we've been doing are the Explore the Lore, and because it's so hard to pin these guys down just to record the actual episodes, doing bonus content with all of them is nearly impossible. So I've been branching out and doing some Explore the Lores with guests. So if any of you have listened to those, by the way, the Explore the Lores that we do with guests are always for free. You do not have to be a member of our Patreon to access those. You can access all of our guest content at any time for no cost, because I don't like the idea of having a guest on and then paywalling them. But we had a guest recently, and if you've listened to that, you would know that we had one of my fellow professional GMs from Rolldark, Mr. Jacob War, and we sat down and we talked about some of our lore that we've used in our games, specifically some of his games. And you would also have heard, if you have listened to that, or if you haven't yet but might do in the future, you would also know that Jacob was part of a podcast, an actual play D&D, an actual play TTRPG podcast. They did more than just D&D, called Direcast. I, after speaking with Jacob, picked them up and started listening to them. Their first game is actually not D&D at all, it is Honey Heist. For anyone who has not heard of Honey Heist, it is a very simple RPG system where everyone plays a bear and they are trying to commit a heist to steal some honey. It's very funny. I've been enjoying listening to it immensely, and yeah, I definitely think you should go and check that out. And if you haven't, go and check out Roll Dark. I'm sure most of you guys who've been listening to us for a while will know I am a professional GM as well as a sort of GM for a podcast, among other things. And strangely, people like to pay me to run games for them. So if you're ever in need of a professional GM for whatever reason, birthday parties, just because there isn't a good DM nearby, check out Roll Dark. We do all over the UK, and I just realised we actually have quite a few listeners in the US. You're going to have something similar, and I think we even have some US-based GMs on there, although I don't know if you can book through Roll Dark for American games, but you'll have something similar. But if you're in the UK and you're a professional GM, check out Roll Dark. Sorry, I totally just used this recommended podcast to plug another thing I do, but Jacob, my chat with Jacob was absolutely phenomenal. He was talking about a game which he has just recently started running through Roll Dark for a sort of Eberron, Curse of Strahd, steampunk vampire mashup, which sounded absolutely insane. And I need to actually catch up with him to see how it's going so far, because I think it started recently. But I had great fun talking to him, and if I can ever get round to scheduling a few of them, there will be more Explore the Lores with other professional GMs from Roll Dark, as I want to chat to all of these guys about their amazing worlds and settings and all the cool shit they do in their games, so expect more of that. But don't disappear. At the end of the episode today, we have a promo for the 5 GMs in a Trenchcoat podcast. So stick around to the end, hear that. Other than that, the only thing I have left to say, guys, is thank you for sticking with us. If you haven't, do please go and check out our Patreon. We have so much content going up now that I actually need to go and record a lot more of to get us through February. But there's so much content there that you can pick up, and we're always making more. So go and check that out. And of course, if you haven't yet, go and check out one of our bonus episodes that we put up just before Christmas, after Christmas. Recently, I put up the D&D The Panto game that we played with a bunch of amazing guests, including Liv from 3 Black Halflings, Naomi from Secrets of St. Kilda and so many amazing other things that she does, Emily from RP Geeks, and of course our own Danny when we did the recording live at Dragon Meet. Go and check that out if you haven't already. And because we're going to be starting up with shows again soon, if you aren't already, go and subscribe to Actual Play UK on Twitch. As some of you guys would know, in the past I trapped a bunch of amazing TTRPG creators in the UK in a Discord, and now John from Trolls of the Two Ton Bridges has come along and made a stream that everyone can come and collab on. So it's a constant mashup of all these amazing, talented people from different shows coming together to do something, just frankly, that still shocks me how amazing a lot of it is. And not going to lie, a lot of that comes down to the work that John has put in, and I cannot thank him enough, and he deserves your support, so please go and check out Actual Play UK on Twitch and Trolls of the Two Ton Bridges. But that's it for this week, guys. Thank you so much for sticking with us, and we'll see you soon.
Hello everyone and welcome to 5 Gyms in a Trench Coat.
Excuse me?
Yeah?
What's that?
You want to know what 5 Gyms in a Trench Coat is? Let us tell you.
It's the adhesive that keeps the fragile pieces of my sanity together.
Well, okay, Jesse, what it actually is a narrative-driven TTRPG actual play where 5 friends take turns weaving stories through the tabletop game of their choice.
Of their choice?
Each season?
Each season.
That's pretty cool.
I disagree.
Oh.
I feel it's the adhesive.
So, like, you guys aren't all in a trench coat?
No, we're definitely in a trench coat.
How does that work?
Get her.
Before I'm caught, you can check out 5 Games in a Trench Coat just about anywhere you get your podcasts, or you can check out our website at 5gamesintrenchcoat.com. Oh my god, they really are all in a trench coat.